Okay. All right, my friends, here we are. We are ready to start. And we are up to Sif Vav in the Alter Rebbe.
It's a shin or what?
Shin Mem.
Shin Mem.
It's the same link that we sent last time, right?
Should be the same link, yeah. But first I'm going to read the Machaber Dalet. Yesh li zor sh'lelichte be'etzboi b'mashkin ala shulchan by be'efer. Person should be careful not to write with his finger on liquids that are on the table or on ashes, even though that is going to be totally not miskayim. It's not going to be permanent. Nevertheless, B'derabbanan, it's also to make even non-permanent letters. You're allowed to make letters in the air. When I was in Koilo, there was a guy who was learning to be a cipher, and he was always writing in the air with his hand,
Just to practice, just to memorize.
On Shabbat too?
You're allowed to.
Oh.
You're allowed to write in the air on Shabbos because that's nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. Or, people write on people's backs, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just
people's hands, Sign language. Person, Helen Keller, can sign in her hand.
But in the body, you're allowed to do right like that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Anything that doesn't leave an impression.
It's not like writing on the sand. That's
Exactly. Or
it's
like,
not permanent.
I'm sorry?
Even it's not permanent, it's just.
Exactly. It's not also Madaraisa, it's also Rabban. Or for that matter, if you write in water, not on the table, like in a bowl of water, nothing. It has no keel. So that's okay. Okay.
That's all okay on one.
Yeah. Anything that has no.
You will not be able to write it.
Exactly. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing stays. Let us do one more in the Machaber before we move over to the Alter Rebbe. Mutter lirshem mitziparin al hasefer kamosh rosh milesiman shein zedavar hamiskayim. You're allowed to make a mark on a sefer as a siman because it's not going to last. What that means is, you see how I made a little pencil here to show me that I have to pay attention to this. So you can't use a pencil on Shabbos, obviously. But what if I just make a mark with my nail? I make a line like that.
What about this one?
Folding the corner, exactly.
What about the corner?
Exactly, same sort of thing.
Okay, I can put a piece of paper as well.
Piece of paper, you can do anything. Like the point is, even to scratch a line like that is allowed. She'ein zedavar hamiskayim, because it does not last. Now, we just finished saying in the last siman that you're not allowed to make letters that don't last. But that is at least a letter. But this is not a letter. This is just a mark.
It can be Vav.
We're going to see later. It's not so simple. It can be a Vav. Not so simple. So we're going to see about that. Anyway, the point is that we're going to see other opinions anyway. The Alter Rebbe is going to bring other opinions. But for now, that's what the Machaber says. Okay, we continue and we say, hey, ya ba 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 ba, ya ba 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 bye bye bye. One is liable for writing only when he writes with a substance that will endure on an article that will endure. So you need two ingredients. You need to use something that is a type of dye that's going to last. Can't use disappearing ink to be chayav. And it has to be on a surface that's going to last. If it's something that's going to disappear, like a leaf that's going to dry up and become nothing, that's not going to be chayav.
Dry eraser, markers.
No, that's if you write on a whiteboard, and you don't erase it, that can last forever. I mean, until Hashem makes a new world when Mashiach comes. But other than that, it can last forever. could erase it. You could erase it easily. But until you erase it, it's going to be there. But if you write on a leaf, the leaf is going to dry up and it's going to be finished. Also,
piece of wood, Rabbi. It take longer, but it's actually will disappear.
Why? Wood? Why would wood disappear?
Because it's going to rot it.
Why? Wood doesn't rot. If you leave it in a moist area, it rots. If you leave it in a dry area, it doesn't rot.
I know, if you put it out in the ground.
In the ground. But if you put it on the shelf,
that's okay.
It'll stay for 100 years. Why not? Okay. So, it's forbidden, even with a material that's not going to last, on a surface that's not going to last. Going, for example, here's an example. You're going to take mayperis, which are very light colored. It's not going to last. Whatever you write with them, even on paper, it's not going to last. And you're going to write with them on top of ale yerokos, vegetable leaves. So it's a double reason why it's not going to last. Nevertheless, it's still also midrabanan. Now the Mishnah Berurah says, by the way, the Mishnah Berurah has a big arichos, a lot of details about what's deraisa, what's drabanan, da 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 da. At the end of all of it, he says, what's the difference? Deraisa, derabanan. It's also, we're not giving anybody skila nowadays. Nobody's bringing a korban chatas nowadays anyway. So what's the difference? Deraisa, derabanan. So he says the difference is as far as telling a goy to do it. You can't do it yourself anyway. But in the case of a mitzvah, you can tell a goy to do a derabanan. You can't tell him to do a deraisa, but you can tell him to do a derabanan.
As long as it causes a mitzvah, and so you can do the mitzvah correctly, you're saying. Like a light in the shop.
Well, a light is deraisa.
I'm saying it's something that causes, it can be something for your benefit.
No, unless it's a great need.
Exactly.
Or great financial loss. But not otherwise not for personal benefit.
Rabbi, if the guy come every Shabbat morning, 5 o'clock, before everybody come in and turn on the light and they see it's okay?
No.
Even if it was already pre-existing agreement, it benefits the guy because he's getting paid.
Not allowed.
You have to do it before then?
No, you have to leave the lights on.
Shabbat.
You have to leave the lights on or get a Shabbos clock.
A Shabbat
clock, yeah. Timer. Very simple. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, they're about 50 switcher.
So
maybe I'll work a couple bucks. I offer that.
Offer it, b'vakasha.
Yeah.
Lo pashut.
You know the halacha, right?
Does the rabbi know the halacha?
If I know that, if I mention, I said maybe I should bring a timer for each.
Sure.
So maybe you'll say yes to me.
Sure. Even if it would be something that's mutar, like a derabanan from makom mitzvah, even that is not like a tchila. It's only b'diavad. You're stuck. What do you do? Oh, get a goy. But to have a seder every Shabbat to do it, that's not right.
So any synagogue, it serves Shabbat the morning before they come in. No one allowed to go over there to stop to pray.
I didn't say you can't pray. I said you can't.
You enjoy the light, right?
That's a question. That's a question.
They put the temperature too high.
That's a
It's
question.
happened before.
AC is not as strict as lights because AC is according to many opinions derabanan.
No, I'm saying the children, the temperature of the children, accidentally before Shabbos, it's burning. Shabbos morning. And they say, so we tell a guy to lower the temperature.
This is a big.
It always happens sometimes. This is for the kiddush.
We studied that. That's why you need to come to the.
To lower it is not as strict as to make it higher. To make it higher is a problem. To make it lower make it lower, so he's not actually cooking it. He's just stopping it from burning.
I did not learn. Last 3 months ago, my pot for Shabbat cracked up for the chamin, and everything broke. I left it.
No,
up
you
for
can't
Shabbat.
lower it. But maybe a goy, you can say it's too high. Can't tell him directly, but indirectly.
You know what? The Shabbat before, it was lower, and all the chamin was not cooking. So I said, I'm going to put this Shabbat before a little bit more. That little bit more, crack the pot and everything.
You have to try during the week to do a test run, experiment.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. It's important to know what's Doraita and what's the Rabbanan, simply in order to be able to know what you're allowed to tell a goy to do versus what you're not allowed to tell him to do. ולכן צריך לזהור שלא לכתוב באצבעו במשכן על השולחן, לחקוק באפר או בשומן קורש או בדבש. Therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, you are not allowed to write with your finger on liquids that are on the table, for example, or to engrave into ashes, or to engrave into shuman karush, gravy, that's congealed, or dvash, or honey. This is a chidush. Honey, when you write in honey, it doesn't last more than 3 seconds. Still? Asur.
Because you see it and then it disappears.
Exactly.
The message goes through. The message goes through.
No, it's there for a second, whatever. But let me ask you this. What about a stylus? We learned
What's that?
yesterday, exactly. They used to have these like tablets, flat tablets with wax on the surface. And they used to take notes on it. And then when they finished, they would melt it all and they would start again.
Is it something like the honey?
No,
If the honey
No.
you cannot, this
No.
one you cannot too.
no, not the same as honey at all.
Oh, really?
Yep.
It's mutar?
No,
Is it something like the honey?
No.
Honey asur, and this asur.
no.
And this is it.
It's an Isur D'Oraita.
This one is the right.
Yes,
That
because
one
if
is
you
the
don't melt the
banana.
wax, it lasts forever. It's like a whiteboard. A whiteboard, people usually erase it, but they don't have to. They can leave it, and if they leave it, it lasts forever. The same thing, the wax is not going to
Going
disappear.
next to you and he erases it.
Doesn't make a difference. That's writing that is permanent. The fact that somebody erases it doesn't make it not permanent.
So
That
the
just means that
honey
he
is
erased.
the Rabbanan and this one is the right.
That's the Oraita, correct.
Because if you leave it, like you said, freeze the rotor, it stay forever. If you leave it in the house, I mean, in the temperature, it can stay forever.
Wax, not honey, wax. Here's an interesting chiddush that the Mishnah Berurah brings from the Rambam. If you write on your skin, you know, some people take notes on their hand.
With the pen?
With a pen.
On Shabbat?
On Shabbat.
On Shabbat, a pen or
A
with your
pen.
finger?
A pen. The Oraita or the Rabbanan?
The right, Rabbi. You holding the pen in your
No, because
hand?
it's not a normal surface.
And you say the Oraita, why?
Because the pen.
What if I take a pen and I write on
Ink, Rabbi.
if I take a pen and I write on a piece of lettuce, the Oraita or the Rabbanan?
Right, Rabbi.
No, we just said davar she'eno mitkayim. A lettuce is not
No,
mitkayim.
I'm not talking about the leaves. I'm talking about the pen in your hand.
The pen in your hand is only muktzah.
It's a mukta.
If you don't write with it, there's no Oraita. If you write with it, but you write on a davar she'eno mitkayim, like a leaf, it's the Rabbanan because it's not going to last. But what if you write on your hand?
It doesn't last also. You can wash it.
Washing it doesn't make a difference.
It's still.
That's like erasing it from a whiteboard. That's going to last.
No,
You
this
choose-
the body will push it away.
So here's the chiddush of the Rambam, my friends. The Rambam says if you write on your own body or on any human body, it is an isur deoraita, not the Rabbanan. Why? He explains. Because essentially, human skin could hold the writing forever. The only reason it doesn't is because the body has warmth and oils that push it up and slowly get rid of it. But it's like somebody's coming to erase it. It's like writing on a whiteboard and somebody else comes to erase it. When you write it, it would last, but comes the moisture and pushes it away.
I'm cholek, Rabbi. It doesn't make the body should be like the Rabbanan also because the body is if you leave it, it's going to be wiped.
That's because the body is changing.
Yes.
The way the skin is naturally, it should last. Underneath the skin, there's something else coming up and taking it away.
Yes. Because of that, it should be the Rabbanan because it's not staying.
No, it's not staying for another reason.
Is it because
it's not that there's anything, it's not that the skin is not mitkayem. The skin is mitkayem, but there is another power that comes and takes it away.
This is the God created. This is our human.
But the skin is lasting. The skin is a mitkayem. Yesh od siba, there's another reason why it's not mitkayem. Chamimut.
Okay, I hear you, but I still think this should be the Rabbanan because of
when the Rambam comes back, you can have it out with him.
Okay. I wish he will come back.
Okay.
Not to argue with him, just to kiss his hand.
Aval, mutar l'rshom ba'avir k'minotiyot. You're allowed to make a sign in the air that looks like letters. Because in that case, just in the air. Aleph, Beis, you're allowed, mutar. Because there is no recognizable reshima, there is nothing lasting there. The same thing you can write on a table without any liquid. You can just write Seif Vav. You can write Aleph, Beis, Gimel, because there's nothing visible. Because also in this case, there is no imprint that is visible at all. Even though by doing that, you are getting your hands used to writing, big deal. That is not an Isser either.
Is it something like the guy with the Torah, he write the Torah and his practice?
Yes.
You're allowed to write or drawing, cold bottle. Sometimes, like the
No.
Condensation.
No.
Yeah.
You cannot write on
It considers writing, correct?
Midirabanan.
It's going to melt and nothing will.
Midirabanan. Anything that lasts, even for a second, is asur.
You missed the best shiur about the honey. Honey, you can write, right? And it stays for a second. It's
Still asur, correct. V'chein mutar liris umnos b'Shabbos. Afal pi shaloimda. This is a very interesting chiddush. End of Vav. You're allowed to go watch a craftsman work on Shabbos, even though you're learning while you're watching. You love fixing cars. You can go to the car shop and watch how the mechanic fixes cars. You're learning, okay, but you're not doing anything. Here hur aser, right? Dibur, Here hur mutter, dibur aser. That's in Siman Shin Zayin.
Dibur Aser, you can ask a question then.
Then Dibur is coming.
You can't ask him any question about how to actually fix it. No. Anything that is, you can't talk about something that's actually also to
But
do.
other talking, you like.
Even if it's a good?
Yeah.
How about a seminar?
So you can't ask.
How about a seminar? Business seminar. Sit down. It falls on a Yom Tov. It falls on a Shabbos.
If you sit and you listen and you don't ask any questions, it's not technically asr, but it's not recommended.
Not recommended.
Because Shabbos has positive and negative sides. So even if you're not over on the negative side of Shabbos, that is very far from what the positive side of Shabbos is supposed to look like.
Are we talking about seminar for study?
For a business.
Good seminar.
The conference, like a
Arachim seminar is okay. Arachim seminar is okay. Chabad seminar is okay. He's talking about the secular seminar. I know people that have gone to such things, and they take a hotel and they walk and da. I don't recommend it.
You take all the Shabbat. Take you all the Shabbat.
Yeah, that's not what Shabbos is for.
It's no Chidush in Torah. It's no Pilpul. It's no.
Yeah. Okay. We're up to Zion in the Alter Rebbe. Is Eitan coming tonight? Do you know? Are you in touch with him? Is Eitan coming tonight? I assumed he was when I made my count, even though I didn't hear from him. I didn't daven either.
I don't have it. We all
No,
none of us. So it's good. We Bezat Hashem will get it. Bezat Hashem will get it. So far we follow. Mine.
What do you mean?
It's like lighting.
Well, why are you asking? Any
Light the
Malacha.
switch, but in Shogeg too also the same thing, Rabbi, right? Switch the light in Shogeg, and right in Shogeg is the same sin.
writing is the same as any other malacha. I'm just going to text Joseph.
I know a story about, once was this going in the snow, and then it was so cold, and then he was freezing, and then he get to some house, and he will fall asleep, and then when they come on Shabbat, the people put they're going to work like it's already Sunday, and you wake up, and then he said, what's going on? They tricked him because they did not like them, so they tricked him. So he is going back to the city with the wagon, and then everybody say Shabbat, and then he go to the rabbi and explain it to him. So it's by mistake, and rabbi give him tikkun, it's a story,
Okay. Sounds familiar. I'm not sure of the details, but it sounds familiar.
One of the midrash, yes.
Ethan's not feeling well. For Shlema. What to do? Okay.
So it's also B'Shogeg, he did the sin right? So yeah.
B'Shogeg needs a kapara, like any other malacha. Person who wrote on Shabbos needs a kapara. A person who has to go to the hospital on Shabbos has to. Sakanos nefashos.
You're allowed to tell the goy.
Now, normally when they sign you in, they make you sign. You or somebody else, a person who's caring for you. So that's not sakanos nefashos. You understand? To go to the hospital is sakanos nefashos. Just to get into the ambulance, whatever. But signing is not sakanos nefashos.
To get into ambulance.
So they will
ambulance is, you have to get to the hospital.
Rabbi,
I'm saying once you're in the hospital,
they can tell you if you don't sign, it will take you.
sign for me. No, sign for me. I'm religious.
Yeah.
Shabbat, I
They
cannot
understand.
sign.
So I know.
Sign for me. Please sign for me. If they refuse to sign and they refuse to treat without signing,
Then it's a
so then it's sakanat nefashot. B'chol zot, you should try to do it with the shinui, the left hand. With the left hand, my friends. When you write with the left hand, that is a shinui, presuming that you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, you write with your right hand. If you're ambidextrous, no, you do it with your mouth or your toes. When I grew up in LA, my parents have a painting that was painted by an artist with his toes. There's no hands. painted with his toes.
Sounds like LA.
Anyway, the point is that this is a unique thing, by the way. Mishnah Berurah points out this is a unique thing to the malacha of ksiva. It is not true about any other malacha. If you cook with your left hand, chas v'shalom, a person cooks with his left hand on Shabbos, that is an isur d'oraisa. A person carries with the left hand. A person cuts from the ground, anything. It makes no difference, right, left. It's all normal. Writing specifically is something that we have difficulty doing with the left hand, and therefore it's a shinu to do with the left hand. Patur mid'oraisa, also midrabanan. But in a case that you have to do it, sickness or whatever, so at least it's better than doing it regular. Okay, we continue with Zion. Hakorea ala or kesav nisksav. A person who cuts into leather, like writing. Engraves, exactly. He cuts it in. Engraving is considered writing. Engraving is considered writing. It's a pasuk. I'm going to write on the luchas, Hashem said, and he engraved it. So engraving is called writing. Now, it's not writing for Sefer Torah because that's not the sort of writing you need for Sefer Torah. For Sefer Torah, you have to write. You can't engrave. But in other areas of halacha, engraving is considered writing. Aval haroisha mala or kesav nisksav potter. Like the image of letters. Basically, roishim ala or kesav nisksav means you scratch it. You don't actually cut it, you scratch it. You scratch an aleph into the leather. Exactly. Like the image of a letter. You're not actually writing a letter because you're not using any ink. And you're not engraving it because you're not actually cutting it. You're using your nails. Exactly.
That's square in the same way where the Sefer Torah to make lines.
Exactly. However, over here, it's patur she'ein ze davar maskayim. It's not going to last. Because leather, mark from the skin, it's not going to last. Exactly. On parchment, it might last. Actually, we're going to see later. But on leather, it's not going to last. So it's patur, correct. I will also be Seifrim.
It doesn't say like the others. You can do it with the knife or something.
Yeah, but it's not actually cutting the surface. That's the first case. The first case is koirea, actually ripping through the surface. Here he's just roshim. He's making like a reshima. He's making an imprint. Exactly, but it's not actually ripping it. So she'ein ze davar maskayim, that is not going to last. But it's also because something that will last. Now, by the way, as a side point, I don't know who came up with it, but maybe it was Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Somebody came up with a way for doctors to write down instructions for patients on Shabbos in cases of serious illness in a way that's only asma d'Rabbanan. And no, what they do is they write it with a special kind of ink that is invisible and can only be seen when you shine an infrared light on it, some kind of special light. So that, because it's not visible to a regular eye, is only d'Rabbanan. And therefore, if a doctor needs to write for a patient important instructions, not stam for a cold, but for a serious illness, so at least this will only be an issa d'Rabbanan.
So let me ask you, in this case of these doctors here, and so him doing actually the writing. Why cannot tell one of the Russian nurse to what he wants to write?
I mean, it depends on the situation. Sometimes, I mean, if it might not be a Goshen nurse,
It's not going to be bad to Russian.
I'm just saying, in these shilas were in Eretz Yisrael. You know what I'm saying? Where it's a Jewish hospital, probably Jewish nurses, not necessarily easy to find an Arab nurse. And by the time you find him, you know what I mean, you have another patient to take care of. You know what I'm saying? It's loud. It's not always so practical.
But no, I mean, like, let's say you have, what is better option?
It's always better to do a malacha through a goy than yourself.
So in this case, like to be invisible writing or to tell a guy to write it?
Better to tell a goy. Better to tell a goy. But b'chol zot, that's only if the guy is going to write exactly what you want him to write. You know what I'm saying? If you need to write it exactly just so, and you're afraid the guy is not going to understand how to write it or may misunderstand, then you can write it yourself. That's a general rule when it comes to Pikuach Nefesh, that anything that you could do through a guy and he'll do it 100%, you do it through a guy. But if you're afraid he's not going to be able to do it properly, then you do it yourself. So that's a.
Does it have to be with an invisible? I mean, this condition can use the shimui that you can run with the left hand. It's Pikuach Nefesh.
I mean, if it's mamish Pikuach Nefesh, you could write however you want. It's mamish Pikuach Nefesh, you can write however you want. The point is over here, maybe it's not 100% clear that it's Pikuach Nefesh. Maybe the illness is Pikuach Nefesh, but maybe this particular medicine is not going to make it or break it. So it's not 100% clear. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's much better to have the midrabanan option. So there's more leeway. We're going to learn about it in Shem Chav Ches, Mirz Hashem.
What if we're wearing like ketapnit or teos, but you have a copy, so on the top part it's going to be ketapnit, but on the bottom one it's going to go to the copy. It's going to be actually like
Carbon paper? Carbon paper?
Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be Asar, Daraisa.
Yeah.
Why not? If you're writing on one thing with Rishima, but underneath it with carbon, that's going to be Asar. Asar Daraisa. Okay. Aber also mit dem sehen wir schon da in der Sky. Aber meine Taven ist ksav, wenn Rosh und Siman ba'alma v'leike min ois. Excuse me, mutter afil lechat chila. V'lachem. Exactly. V'lachem v'rt l'shem b'tzipan al sevik ma Rosh and Siman b'makom sheyesh tahos. This is what the Mechaber said. If you're not writing a Taven is ksav, you're not writing something that looks like a handwriting. Rather, you're just writing a mark, and it's not going to be miskayim because you're writing it on klaf, which is hard, so it doesn't really. It's not going to be miskayim. We're going to see in a minute if it is miskayim. But the point is, so for example, you're reading a sefer, and you see there's a mistake, and you want to mark where there's a mistake, so you'll know after Shabbos where to fix it. So you can make a mark just like a line with your nail. That is with a klaf.
But this one is like even just a straight line. So very often you see like tablecloths and the kids, people like scratching it with a fork or with nails, with the line.
Lo pashut.
Or sometimes on the styrofoam plates.
Yeah.
You know where they like to do that?
You're playing with your forks on it, or
The kids like that.
so.
The kids like to do it on Shabbat table when you have a plastic cup.
So it's like
Lo
asu.
pashut.
So this is asu.
Yeah,
I fight
I
with them
think.
all the time.
So
Not to do
it will be the same thing with the biting the styrofoam cups with like on around it, you know what I mean? It's the same. It's the Muslim time. There's not writing, but there's just. I feel like it's similar for what we're learning. When you say no pashut, means it asu midrabanan or asu like all the examples that.
It's a kids. It's a tough to.
Not kids, adults, not kids. Not
Adults?
They're behaving like they're kids. That's the problem. Yeah. Here's my suffix. You see, when you're making a reshima that has some positive benefit, so, like you're making a sign to know to fix it, that's one thing. But if you're just making meaningless lines, like worthless lines, to make something that has meaning is for sure awesome. But to make meaningless lines, like just stam, I don't know if that's awesome. I'm not saying it's mutter. I'm just saying I don't know if it's awesome because you're not really doing anything. It's like you're just bored. It's more like a kilkel than like a ksiva. It's like you're just destroying. I'm not sure though.
Because you throw it in the garbage, Rabbi.
Because it's thrown in the garbage and because it's meaningless. It's nothing. It's mamish nothing. But I do have this Third Malachas book. Maybe he'll say something.
Then I give you a reward for that. We did not get reward for that. This. I tried that very hard. נתעלה בבקשה. נתעלה, רואים כמה. נתעלה בבקשה. שכוח. רוצה גם אתה? איפה החתן שלך?
So hopefully we have a minion.
לא, הוא יגיע ב-10.
הוא יגיע ב-10?
David Leib said he's coming at 10.
Yeah. He's coming?
Yeah,
He's coming for a 10 for the minion. If there's no 9, there's no point for him to come.
What's his name, the lawyer?
Joseph?
Yes.
I just messaged him.
Okay. I thought he will come too.
And I just saw a point that regarding shoes that have engraving when you walk on the sand or in the snow. What I'm curious what the
Another one in for the minute, Joseph.
He's not going to be here at 10.
No, he's not going to start.
And now it's not even close.
Joseph, until what time you staying today? Until what time you stay today?
Maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay, let's continue. I'm not 100% sure about that question that Ronnie asked about making marks. It could be that it's usher, but because it's not really significant at all, maybe it's not there.
So you're going to machmer with the kids if they do that by mistake, they happen to do stuff like that.
Am I going to be machmer? I'll be machmer with my kids. I'm not going to be machmer with other people's kids. Because I'm not 100% sure if it's usher.
I saw a couple times, a long time ago, my kids, I said, please do not, it's Shabbat, it's a muktzeh.
Better, definitely better.
And they respect.
Definitely better.
So they need to do tikkun for that, or it's okay?
Okay. במדרם אומר בקלף שהוא כושר והריפים שבין המסקיים, אבל בנייר אסור לרשום לרישום שבין מסקיים זמן מרובה. אבל בי שנתאו נחסב, אז מדברסים, וזה משמתאו נחסב, שכמה לא משהו קשור מסקיים. Now, when it comes to paper, which is soft compared to parchment, the scratches that you make in paper are longer lasting than those in parchment. This parchment is a harder surface. And because they're longer lasting, the Alter Rebbe says it is usher even to make a mark.
Line.
A line. Even though it's only a line, and it's really not a letter, so you wouldn't be chayiv midaraisa even if you wrote it with a pen. But since it is lasting, even though it's not a letter, it's also an rabbanon. Huh? Yeah, but that's not going to help you if you want to put a
mine.
Oh yeah, if I put this one here and I look after.
No, but if you have a certain letter, let's say you're reading the Sefer Torah, and there's a mistake in the ta'ut.
So you
It's not ta'ut b'Sefer Torah.
So
So
what
you wanna make a mark to know exactly where it is.
So what they do, they fold it upside down. They close it.
I know, but you want to know exactly where it is. Exactly where. It's the whole column. I'm just saying. That's what he's talking about.
Oh.
However, v'yesh oisma filu b'klaf, my friends. Not so simple. Some forbid it even with parchment. The fisha sovereign because they hold.
Can I suggest something
Yes,
about
yes,
that
yes.
question, Rabbi?
1 second, let me just finish. The fish sovereign because they hold. Sha'afilu haroshim l'sim ba'amav l'ksav n'ksav chayev midor meskayim. According to the more strict opinion, even making marks on Shabbos that are not letters is asur mid'oraisa, because they say when they would make marks on the beams in the Mishkan, they didn't have to write letters on it. They could make a squiggle. They could make a half moon. You know what I'm saying? They could make a triangle. They can make, the whole point is to know the pair. So if you make a half moon here, half moon there, you know these two don't go together. And there you have a star, and here you have a half square, and here you have whatever. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a letter. It just has to be something to show that they go together. So therefore,
So where's the issue then? Is it the writing or is it the matching?
no, the issur is the writing, which they would use to match.
So
But the point is that they didn't only write letters, they also made other marks, and that was considered a significant act in the Mishkan, and therefore it's a significant act outside of the Mishkan on Shabbos, and it's an Isur D'Oraisa. If you made a mark on two boards, one mark on two boards means to say 1 second, one mark that goes from one board to the other, like that. So that is going to be a Isur D'Oraisa. Or, I'm still in Zion. Or two marks. I skipped something. 2 marks on one Neser, exactly. If it's one mark on one board, Potter is Potter, because it's lasting. Now, if you make a mark on Klaf that is not Miskayim, because if you would make it in a way that is Miskayim, it would be an Isur D'Oraisa, even though it's not a letter, but it's still a mark. So Lamaisa, you should not make a mark even on Klaf, because it could be that mark is Midaraisa if it would be lasting, and therefore if it's not lasting, it should not be done. Question.
I'm just thinking about something else, about why they don't take this, in some Sefer Torah they hang for the woman, it's a so they can put it in some way, it will go all the way to the letter and just roll it. I mean,
The Maisa Alter Rebbe says not to make a mark. So however you figure out, you figure it out. If you have a mistake in the Sefer Torah, and the first opinion said you can make a little mark with you scratch a line with your nails to show you where it is. The second opinion says you cannot do that. Remember? No?
Do you find anything by the Lamas of Malachim?
No, I did not.
You're allowed to cut tape scotch.
No.
Because it's tearing.
It's more of a tikkun kli.
Tikkun kli.
It's more of a tikkun kli. You're fixing it. You're making yourself a little object that you can use. Right?
It's tikkun kli if you tear the piece of the you know.
תיקון כלי. עכשיו יש לך tape, אתה יכול להשתמש עם זה. You have something good. When it's all connected, how are you going to use it? It's going to make a mess. Now it's the right size. So tikkun, it's like floss, dental floss. You cannot cut dental floss in Shabbos because you're making a piece of floss that is the right size.
You can open the rope and then use it and then put it aside.
אני לא הייתי מציע את זה because you might forget and cut it. If you cut it before Shabbat and you have it on the side, that's okay. But only if you floss regularly, because otherwise it's going to cause you to bleed. Exactly.
What about the one with the stick, with the rope like this, and you just go like this with that?
Yeah, no, as long as you do it regularly so you don't bleed.
Okay.
What is regarding shoes with engraving? It says that you cannot make any marks. I could make an imprint, even though it's erasable or not. Shoes with imprints. Reading the Alpha Yosef that says that it was okay, but he bases it on also like say a cake, something is written, you can eat it. But what does the Alpha Rebbe say when it comes to?
I don't think he says it's a problem. We discussed it in Siman Shin Chaf, I think it was, because it's kalach hayad and it's not your intention and it's not lasting and it's psikresha, delay nichalei, a whole bunch of things. That doesn't mean that you have to buy such shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you have them, I don't think he says to be machmir. We did discuss it, but I don't think so. Okay, my friends. Ches v'chol zekshenik tavnis ksav klal. This whole discussion about marks being the Araisa D'Rabbanan is only if it does not look like writing at all. Avokoshu tavnis is ksav, but if it does look like writing, afilu ena ashuri, even if it's not the script that we have for a Sefer Torah.
But all these words only on specific, only on writing materials, or it can be on drawing images.
Drawing images also. That's going to be a tulda. Drawing an image is a tulda of the av, which is writing. Afilu ena oisius yiduis, even if it's not specific letters, but it's rather other marks that mean something. For example, the images we use to make a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not a letter, it's a number, but it means something.
The writing from the right side is the Hebrew letters of any language level. Let's say if I'm writing English ABC, I'm writing Aleph base.
Any
level. Same level?
Same level. Same level according to the Alter Rebbe. I believe the Ramah brings an opinion that says it's only Midrabanan. And at least we have that opinion in case, again, a person's sick, hospital, whatever. So it's better. One second. It's better because at least you have one opinion that says it's Midrabanan. But the Alter Rebbe's main psak is the Araisa.
So the doctor just write it even in English, just the
better in English. Better. Cholzot is better.
Yeah.
Okay. All of those, any symbol that means something is called a Tavnis Ksav. And he's chayev if he made it in a permanent way. If it's temporary, like we said. The Divrei HaKol, he says. He doesn't bring any other opinions. Person who writes in Torah script, and he leaves out the crowns of the shin and the ayin and the test nun zayin gimel tzadik. You know about those? Rabbi Akiva. When you write those letters, shin ayin test nun zayin gimel tzadik shatnez gates, you're supposed to put 3 crowns on the left top of all those letters. Left side of the shin, left side of the ayin, left side of the tes. Nun only has one. Zayin only has one. And Gimel only has one. And Tzaddik on the left side, you put 3 crowns, one in the middle, higher than the other 2. So it's interesting that when you write a Sefer Torah, if it's missing those crowns, it's still kosher. Not the best, but it's kosher. And Lamaisa, when they write a get, even though it's supposed to be written b'ksav ashuris, they don't write those crowns because it's not necessary. They don't write it. Nevertheless, says the Alter Rebbe, if you write a person writes on Shabbos with ksav ashuris without the crowns, potter. Because it's not considered finished. Potter midaraisa, not midarabanan. Still also midarabanan for sure, but he's not chayav midaraisa because he didn't finish it, even though it's a kosher letter, but he didn't finish it, so it's not midaraisa. So too, in the handwriting of any country that you didn't write the letters properly. Potter love your potter, elashas midav but it's aser midarabanan.
So any letter you do in shinui little bit, so it's patur the right.
Exactly. A person who writes with a type of letters, one second, that is called meshita, which is basically a short way of writing. A script called meshita, which is a short way of writing. He says here, a type of writing employed in the Sephardic community, which somewhat resembles Rashi's script. Some say because it comes from Ashuri. It's like an unfinished ksav ashur, which is hey. And the practical example of this would be script. Maybe writing script is not the eraisa because it's not a proper letter.
That's my question.
That's what it sounds like here. It's not a proper letter. But potter aval still awesome. Yeah.
It's not Torah. It's not print. I mean,
Exactly. It's not perfect. Yeah.
Shaping your garden and the shape of a letter, and then you just pull it out.
No good. No good.
what was the question again? Can you repeat the question?
If you're shaping your girdle in the shape of the aleph or base or whatever, then it just you stand up, it just straight up, nothing happens.
It's not permanent. It's not going to stay. As soon as you touch it, it's going to be gone.
I actually don't have a proof that it's usher.
The same thing as the sand. It's the same thing as writing in the sand then.
I don't know if it's the same as writing in the sand. Writing in the sand, there is an actual letter there. It's temporary, but it's actually there.
In the Garfield, you're making a letter S, so you make a letter F. The letter.
Letter.
I mean, it's not. It's.
I hear. It's no less than a letter that's on the cake, which we said is a letter. I think it should be usher.
If two people, each one drawing one line, that it doesn't represent any letter, and Tom, the third one, drew the third line has become a letter. So we're going to be higher.
The last one is going to be chayiv. If he makes it a letter,
Just make one line.
doesn't make a difference. He said if you take off the top of a ches, you create 2 zayins, you're chayiv. Didn't even do anything. He didn't write anything. Just took it away.
How about even alphabets, like toys, little magnet, little toys, alphabets? Can you spell it like it's like Scrabble?
Yeah, that we said you could do. Scrabble you can do.
You can
Unless
spell
it
the word
snaps
like
into place
So you
where
can spell it
it's
exactly.
fixed.
There's no.
Otherwise,
you do
it's
that to
okay.
write something, a message or something.
Yeah. Okay. Here he discusses this. Im toy chayv oisius shall kesef beveged. Inserting test. If you insert silver letters onto a garment, you stick it into the garment, you attach it to the garment. Nikkur ksav, this is called writing. Basla Sisib Shabbos, not to write it during Shabbos. So this is the chiddush. We didn't learn this until now. I mean, we mentioned it. We didn't learn it inside. That means you have an aleph made from silver. You're not making it. It's made. It's in the drawer. Take it out of the drawer. You put it on the garment and you're toichav. You stick it in. Pin.
Like a lapel pin.
Like a lapel pin that has no background. The shirt becomes the background. The Mashiach pin already says Mashiach on the flag, and you're just putting it on. I'm talking about it has no background, and you put it. You make the letter.
Is that a pin to touch it?
Exactly, a pin, something that holds it in place.
I have a question.
That's awesome because you're putting it onto a background. You
Is
understand?
it even attached to Shabbos?
Attaching it may not be awesome.
Rabbi,
If it would be a pin that has no letter,
But I
Just
mean, just inserting the hole inside it's already there, but you're still sticking it into the garment. It's breaking the garment.
no, it's not breaking the garment. It's not breaking.
so the gaba,
You're not supposed to put a pin twice through. So put once through, you can put it.
Okay, so you don't have to like take it apart. Just
Not
once
in and out, just once through. I mean, that's a problem of tefillah.
Rabbi, it's no issue about the gaba. He's sticking an envelope and he's sticking letters. Make a for if somebody did donation, it's like you put a letter in an envelope.
How does he do it? I don't know what you mean.
Let's say
For the aliyahs.
second.
For the aliyahs.
Yeah, but how does he do it? Give me an example. Explain.
He has a
Example.
He has a box and he has a letters over there and he has an envelope and he's putting the letters with the envelope. So the name.
But they're just mixed up. He has to play.
He's not right.
He has to unscramble it after Shabbos.
Yeah.
Biton for biton. But it's all mixed up, and then he has to fix it. I'm trying to figure out what you mean.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Allowed to?
I don't know either.
That's what they
If you do it, if you do it really on order, it's not good.
No, it's not that it's in order. It's not good. If it's fixed, if it's attached in some way, it's attached in some way. It's a problem. If you just arrange it flat,
If you have to disassemble it.
Okay.
Regarding Siman, you said like with the letters for the silver for the garment. In using the words otios, so it's going to be if it's only one. Let's say you take one silver and say aleph, it's going to be nothing. It's going to be just a decoration. Say otios, so it means like more than one.
I don't know.
To be able to be higher.
He's not chayav anyway. Asr, la soisa. Asr is asr. It's not
They say
chayav.
otios. They didn't say od. So like,
I don't know if it's a diuk.
if it's one, it's fine.
No, I love muskim.
So why do you use otios and not od? I don't know, just.
I don't have a proof, but I don't think
What was
so.
the question?
Why does he say
plural
osios?
format?
What about ois? What if he only did one? He quotes the Magen Avraham here.
It's just the writing, the way he's writing it. Right? Anyway. We can have many.
It's not looking good.
We're trying.
We have two people coming at them.
Two. So it's meaning we're missing
We
three.
need
Three.
3 more.
Three more.
Let me call
What's
her
his name?
phone.
Yeah, Dudley is one.
He's coming.
And
David
Yosef.
Leib and Elchanan are both coming.
And how about Yosef?
Never responded.
Nobody's supposed to be coming, that's all.
Yeah, that's one. And then Elchanan.
If they're coming now, they're with the Chazan. So the
They're not coming
Shamash.
now. They're coming at 10.
They'll do it anytime.
Eitan, what about the Eitan?
I'm not feeling well. Okay. What was I looking at? I was looking at the Maganaga. Cotton Yud. משמע בגיטן דף חף, שם תרחו אויסיס של כסל וגם בבגד, מקרי כויסב. What's that about? הכוח עושה עלי לתפילה שמסוכן הבגד, שיש לדתו של אויסיס כוי שנשכם שריף. Okay, I don't know. He doesn't explain. The general rule is that whatever is usher to do with two letters is also usher with one letter. We haven't found anything where it's mutter to do with one letter. You know what I'm saying? We only had a difference if it's chayev or not. We never suggested that one would be mutter. Even though here you're not writing it, but you're putting it onto a background that is still considered midrabanan, like writing. So, yeah, I don't know. Okay. Yod. Rishon Misham Mitzvos B'Shtach Yitzmim K'dech Shatzayor Rishon Mchayim Misham Tol Diskoyse V'chen HaMoichka. One who sketches drawings and designs in a document or the like in the manner that artists draw is liable for performing a derivative of the forbidden labor of writing. It's basically a tulda of writing. Drawing is a tulda of writing. Same applies when one erases such drawings or designs.
So that's why the woman cannot do the medical or makeup stuff.
No, that's a different problem. It's a different problem. Makeup is a problem even if there's no particular picture. A woman can't put on blush, even though there's no picture. It's just red color or blue on the eye. There's no picture, just a color. It's also because of tzeveya. Tzeveya, not midaraisa, but midarabbanan. Nails are the same thing, nail polish. But nowadays, the very fancy people, they make little pictures on their nails. That's going to be Isser Dairaisa. Hopefully, yes. I read in Mishigas Shein Kamayu that some people, some pregnant women, They get a picture of their baby inside, sonogram. They bring it to the nail salon. They want a picture of the baby on
Wow.
their nails.
Oh.
I'm telling you,
This is the first time?
it's the newest Michigas. Anyway, whatever. So that would be an Issa D'Oraisa actually, because the nails are Davar HaMaskayim, and the polish is Davar HaMaskayim. Even though you're planning to take it off, like we said before, with the whiteboard, with the whatever. Anyway,
You know what I saw, Rabbi? A pregnant woman, she is in the 8 or 9 months. She's going to the place, and they put the plaster of Paris, on the stomach like that, and then they take it out and they make a basket for the baby to sleep. After the Shabbat, I don't know.
to feel comfortable.
Okay,
To feel,
exactly the same. Yes. Amazing.
Okay, so we continue and we say, actually, before we go on to Yud Aleph, I want to bring in a few points that the Mishnah Berurah brings that the Alter Rebbe did not bring. Okay, a person who writes a letter on top of a letter. There's already an Aleph written. He goes over it.
If you make it bright there, then it's chayav.
No.
No.
If it's the same color, it's not chayav.
But if it's like a long time and it's start to get
Zeni loida. If the color underneath is not black and he writes black on top of it, then it is chayav. Because black is considered the proper color. Other colors are like not the best color. So therefore he's chayav because he's making it.
Black is not chayav.
Exactly.
Garabaran, yes.
Yes. Now, what if you wrote, we said that you're only chayav if you write 2 letters. What if a person wrote 1 letter, but it's the end of a word? So he's finishing the word with that letter. Potter. Because, still aser, but it's potter.
He's finishing the word.
Even though he's finishing the word, it's still aser. It's still only potter. It's not chayiv. That's the chiddush.
Aser, but potter from.
Exactly. He's not chayiv, misa, or whatever, skia, chatas.
So if he finishes the crowns, in other words.
No. I'm not talking about finishing the crowns.
He's finishing.
I'm talking about doing a complete letter, which is the last letter of a word. Now, to be chayiv, you have to write 2 letters. I might think, even though here he's only writing 1 letter, but because he's finishing the word, maybe it's a more important act, and he's chayiv anyway. The Mishnah Berurah says no, he's not chayiv unless he finishes the sefer. If you finish the whole sefer, then chayav even for 1 word, because that's an important thing. Now the sefer is a kosher sefer. Maybe he doesn't say makav patish, although maybe you should be chayav makav, maybe twice. I don't know. He doesn't say.
So the sefer will be possible, Rabbi?
That's a good question. If a sefer writes a sefer Torah on Shabbos,
how can you do that?
In general,
You work for 5 years.
You don't want to go to that sefer.
You work for 5 years and wait for the last Shabbat, for the last words. Doesn't make sense.
That's where his machine comes in. Doesn't make sense.
It's very scary.
But Rabbi, he's doing mikvah. He's doing mikvah on Shabbat or something.
It's very nice. Sorry?
He's going to mikvah also.
a sefer that is a Machal Shabbos b'far Hesya is possible. It's possible. You can't write a sefer Torah like that. So it's possible anyway.
So what's the reason? It's only that sefer Torah in all that city, and they cannot read from that sefer Torah. There's no sefer Torah, and all
there's no reason. He's doing it because he wants to do it.
Let's say
the
community has no sefer Torah.
Who said there's a reason? I'm not giving reasons. Reasons. That's for story time. We're learning a lot.
Shabbos, or didn't realize it was Shabbos, and he did that. Would be possible.
In general, a person who does a malacha b'shoigeg on Shabbos can benefit from it after Shabbos.
Right.
So it's I think it would be puffle on that Shabbos, but after Shabbos, it's a shoigeg, can benefit.
The shogeg.
Although you have to wonder,
So
even
can you
on
benefit
Shabbos,
during the week
even
only?
on Shabbos, maybe it's not a benefit because it's mitzvahs lav lehanas. Mitzvahs are not for benefit. Mitzvahs are for Hashem.
Right, so can you only
So what's that?
benefit
What? Maybe even on Shabbos it should be mutter.
Yeah, mitzvah.
Sorry?
Can you only benefit from that Torah during the week reading then?
I'm suggesting that maybe even on Shabbos it should be mutter to benefit if it's b'shoigeg, because it's mitzvahs lav lehanas. The point of mitzvahs is not to benefit; it's to serve Hashem.
So
That's a
if-
general thing, right? If you make a neder that you're not going to benefit from somebody, you're allowed to hear them say kiddush. You're allowed to hear them blow the shofar, read the Torah, read the Megillah, because that's not benefit. That's for Hashem.
So to do a mitzvah, you're
I
allowed
think-
to take a muktzeh in your hand to approve.
Huh. Chas v'shalom.
How's it show?
No, I'm not saying he's allowed to do it.
This is a
I'm saying if he did it already, he forgot. He woke up in the morning, he's so excited, he's about to finish the sefer. He writes it. Oh, I forgot, it's Shabbos. Now what? It's the only sefer in town. The only sefer in town. I think you could read it. I think. Not sure, but I think.
Right, just going back a little bit, in Siman Zayin, it said like, I'm supposed to do Siman Mitzrayim Afilah Niyah. So, you like to fold, let's say, one of this reading material you're getting on Shabbos, that you folding it very tight, and then make it tight fold. And then
Like to fold the corner?
Leave the mark on the fold, you're allowed
To fold the corner, is that what you mean?
No, fold it to half, and then you can see the mark where it's half exactly. You're folding it in a half, but you make it very tight.
The purpose of that is what?
Just to be stay folded better.
Just because you want to fold it,
Yeah,
not because you want the mark.
no. But it's creating a mark.
Right.
It's a mithai.
It's a similar shot as what you were saying, where the kids make those things. Because here you're making a mark, but you don't want the mark.
But this one, that's what they have killed. Just
I'm just saying, well, you don't want the mark. You just want to fold it in half because you want to fit it into your pocket or whatever. It's the same thing when you fold over the corner of a page. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that little mark. You want it folded so you'll know where to look, but you don't care for the mark.
It's like you're going in the rust. Right?
I don't know why, because I recall many years ago that even if you fold it, just don't make it tight.
Yeah, I think I learned that too. We don't
I
know
don't remember.
where do you find that you don't allow to make a mark with for Shabbat. I learned that somewhere long time ago. And the Sephardi probably the
Until now, I'm careful about it. But, just want to know what.
Rabbi. אני חייב עם זה. See the letter A? Can you see it? This is חייב in Shabbat, right, Rabbi?
חייב. אסור.
אסור זה, נכון?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
I don't know how much to be medayik in Rabbi Rubiat. He should be blessed. But he says, even scoring a simple line or marking on a paper or surface in order to represent a message of any kind, to note a typing or printing error, is kosev, whether it's done with a knife, stylus, or one's fingernail. Shemeh? He's saying it's only if it has a message in it. Message. You know what I'm saying? Just to make a line with no message is not kosev, according to his. That's the mashmos. He doesn't say it clearly, but that's what it seems he's saying.
The thing is, I think, that you have to want it.
Exactly. Because otherwise it's not meaningful. It's like nothing. But again, I'm not 100% sure. That's just what it seems.
So the goy doesn't want to do line. Can you call the goy for to do some line?
Which line?
Mark.
What do you need it for?
And the Torah. You want exactly the
No idea.
It's a really big.
It's a shvus for a guy, a mitzvah maybe. One second. A few more points in Mishnah Berurah. In order to be chayev for writing two letters, you have to write them either next to each other or in a position where they could be brought next to each other. So, for example, if I write it here in the middle of this page, so I write it here at the end of this page, and the beginning of this page, you could put it together. Even if I write it in the middle of this page, I could fold it and put it together. But if I write it on a piece of wood, can't fold it. So in order to be chayiv, you'd have to write it in the end and the beginning of the other piece so that it could be put together. Even if I write it in here and then I travel to the other end of the city and I write it on a different board, but it's written in such a way that it could be put together, it's still chayiv. But if, for example, I write it on the wall here, on the wall there, can't be put together. So that's only going to be aser midrabanan. This is all theoretical, obviously. You don't do any of these things.
So, yeah.
Okay, here's another chiddush. Let's say you erase letters and you have no intention of writing anything where those letters were, but by erasing those letters, you're fixing something. I'll give you a very simple example.
But we said erasing, you're bringing in areas that could be.
Right, but let's say you're not. Let's say you have no intention of writing there.
Yeah, but the area is the area.
No, not correct. In order to be chayiv, you have to erase with the intention of writing there, or of being able to write there at least. Not stam. Hamoichik amanas lichtoiv.
But I think we learned that it doesn't matter.
No. No.
If you're basing it on just fixing that area,
Because we want that cloth. That's why we talked about that in subject.
HaKoisev v'hamoichik amanas lichtoiv b'mokam shemochak. Dalet, the beginning of Dalet. Either if you write or if you erase with the intention of writing in that place.
That's one.
So here's the chiddush. Let's say I have a Sefer Torah. The Sefer Torah has one extra letter. Just like a missing letter disqualifies the Sefer Torah, an extra letter disqualifies it too. So I want to erase that letter. Erasing that letter is an act of fixing, because through that the Sefer is fixed. So that's chayav. even though it's not writing, it's not on this for the sake of writing, but it's still a tikkun. That's the point. It's a tikkun. Yes.
When you fill the wax out of the tulip on the letter, even so you don't writing it, but you prepare an area where you can write.
It's not that you can write, it's that it's already written. It's already written. It's worse. It's worse.
So that there's not your attention to write anything.
But it's already written. It's even worse. I understand that, but that's according to that opinion, because when you uncover it, it's already there, so it's even worse. It's not a manas lutev, it's a manas to have something written.
But it says that you're preparing. והוא הדין שהנושאים שלוש של השפעה לא אותיות, נאמר לי שמתקן מקום לכתיבה. מה לי מחק אותיות הכתובות, והדרבה זה תיקון יותר ויש מקרים בזה.
Exactly. תיקון יותר.
דימה לי מתקן מקום לכתיבה. So it didn't write anything, just prepare the area to
write later. You don't have to actually write.
So
you have to be able to write.
So it's still going to be, it's not good. You shouldn't do it.
I understand that. You don't have to have intention to write at this moment. In general, I'm mafik, I'm an asletev in the future. Who knows? Who knows what?
But if somebody let him under it, you don't blame him for anything.
Because that's already a tikkun. That's the whole point. The point is, it doesn't have to be dafka to write. It has to be in a way that's a tikkun. That's what the Mishnah Berurah is saying here. Exactly the same exact point. When I erase a letter from the Sefer Torah that's extra, even without intending to write anything there, that's already a tikkun. That's a perfect example. When I'm writing, when I'm erasing the wax and uncovering it, okay, I'm not writing, but I'm misaken, I'm fixing it. That's the point. If you erase for the purpose of erasing with nothing accomplished, that's just the calcul, that's ruining. But if you erase for a constructive purpose, whether it's to actually write or to fix the area without writing, for example, if it's already written, or if it's going to help the sefer by not being there, that's a tikkun. And there's a fee right there. That's the point.
So the point is we're trying to make that if you're just erasing without any attention to
at all, then it's spot.
So what could be, you don't have it could be someone else who come and write.
Okay, that's their problem. If I don't have that intention, I'm pot.
So Rabbi, we have a Sefer Torah, and a kotzo shel kuf and kotzo shel lamed, it's together. It's pasul. Now, if you mochek the between, then you make it kosher. So this one is hayab.
It's two letters. You know that's not a letter. You're right because he's fixing. Yeah.
It's a tikkun.
But they don't do this kind of stuff on Shabbos anyway.
No. I mean, if somebody did that, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we study.
A lot of times you see a Baal Kodesh on Shabbos, they take their talis and rub on the Sefer Torah because there's some dirt or something there. Is that allowed? They're basically fixing them.
It's not recommended.
It's not an etching.
And they rub it. And they want to do that?
If it's something that's attached, like wax, we said they're not allowed to do it. It's a bit of dirt.
As long as it can just be brushed off.
I'm not sure how tight. I mean, if it's not attached tight, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But in terms of two letters that are connected, so in the Sefer Torah,
it's possible.
No, you can't fix it by scraping.
You have to start over.
You have to start over. That's a general thing.
Really?
Yeah. When letters are puzzle, you can't fix them by erasing. You have to fix them by
you have
writing.
all that section to
No, not all that section. That letter.
Those two connected.
The two letters you have to change them.
And because each letter has to have its own color.
So if
Exactly. Unless if you know for a fact that they were written properly, and they became connected afterwards, then you can just Then you can just erase it and it's kosher. But if it's possible that they were always connected, that they were written connected, you know what I'm saying? You have the kuf, it's going down to the next line and it's touching the hay. So from the beginning, the hay never was kosher because it was always connected. So you can't make that hay kosher by erasing. You have to erase the whole hay and write it again.
But b'diavad, we know it's that the sofer, he would not put these together. So b'diavad, it's kosher because he was not connected from the first time.
Maybe he didn't notice. Maybe he didn't notice. You don't know.
Touch tagging, just if you tag touching, not the person voice.
If the tagim are touching the ice or the letter or each other,
Tag to tag.
They're touching each other. I don't
That's
think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. Just like if you're missing tagim, it's not possible. I don't think it's possible if they tagim touch each other.
only the letter then.
I think so.
Okay.
Wow. Other question, the Mishnah Berurah? You start with the erasing government uplift.
Yeah. Okay, we continue in the Alter Rebbe and we say,
So what the Mishnah Berurah said?
if you're erasing, not for the purpose of writing, but the erasing itself is a tikkun. For example, it's an extra letter in the Sefer Torah, and by erasing it, you're fixing the Sefer. That's chayav. That's the chiddush.
If you're just erasing for a purpose of erasing, that's it.
That's potter. It's potter. It's aser, but it's potter. Okay, my friends. Yud Aleph. Derech haratzonim. כשהוא בא לחתך או מסרשת תחילה כפי מה שהוא רוצה להרחיב ולקצר החיתוך. אחר כך מה ועשה כדרך הסרטוט. וכי.
What's happening if a person on the shoe on the bottom they have like a shape of a letter? Each time you will go, let's say in the body, it's always going to live like a footprint as a mark of a letter.
I believe we learned it in Shin Chaf, that because it's kalach hayad, and it's not your intention, and it's not permanent, and it's a psik reisha, I believe we learned in Shin Chaf that it's mutter.
Yeah, we learned that.
Even though it's not the best, and I wouldn't recommend buying such shoes in the first place. But if you have it, onora. Derech haratzonim. The way of leather workers is when they want to cut the leather, before they cut it, they make a line to show ratzonim. A ratzonim is a leather worker. Yeah. Then they'll cut it exactly in the spot of the line. That's exactly how they cut the skins in the Mishkan. This sirtut is one of the 39 melachas. Why? Because they did it in the Mishkan. It's one of the actual 39 melachas. So if a person makes a line on klaf or on paper in order to write straight, that is a chiyuv midaraisa. That is one of the 39 melachas.
Not even a purpose of writing, it's for a purpose of cutting out.
Exactly. He, for example, is writing. But if he does it for another purpose, for cutting, is also chayim. No question. Okay, we go back to the Mechaber for Vav. If a thread that is connecting two parts of your garment became loose, you're not allowed to tighten it. You're not allowed to pull it tight. Mishum toifer. Because it is sewing.
So you're not allowed to pull it completely out, it's going to be one thing.
No, you're not allowed to pull it out either. Leave it right there. Let's say you have a sleeve, which the way you tighten it is because you have a thread that you pull. It goes back and forth.
Like in shoes?
Exactly, like shoes. So you can only use that. You can only, well, the hood is only one, but here I'm talking about it goes back and forth between the holes. If those holes have rings around them, tabaot, exactly, to keep them there, and
the government not to rip.
Also, and that shows that this is not a regular kind of sewing, but this is made to open and close all the time because it has those holes, you know what I'm saying, that have a little border around it. Then you're allowed to, because that's not like sewing. That's like just opening and closing, something that's made to open and close.
Design.
But if it doesn't have those, then you can't do it. Understand? If it's just a chut that you put back and forth, and you loosen it, and you, even though you do it all the time, but not on Shabbos, because without those holes, there's nothing to show that it's not a real fear.
But what's happening if you put it before Shabbat?
You just can't tighten it.
I cannot tie it.
Can't tighten it. Correct.
Can you loosen it?
I think you can loosen it. You can't pull it out completely, but I don't see why you can't loosen it. I don't see why you can't loosen it. I believe you can. Maybe the Alter will explain. Yud Beis, HaTefer Beis Spheres, Kashar, a person who makes 2 stitches and ties, or Gimel Tfiris, or 3 stitches, Alf Bishlei Kashar, even though he didn't tie them. Chayev is Chayev. Because in the Mishkan, they used to sew in the Urias when it came to the curtains. Al Beit Tfiris like Kashar Patam Neshem Sky. Person who makes 2 stitches and doesn't tie it, it's pater because it's not going to last. If a person makes 2 and ties it, it's chayav twice because he stitched and he tied. Begin Yud Gimel shu tafer va'oimet ve'niach achut oirach, excuse me. V'nespardu shtei chatichas habeged zeh mizeh b'miktzas chut atfir nimshachem. ומויסח עשו שחוט כדי להדכון על חברן, זוהי תפירוסן וחייב, אף בשלי קושם נסחברו כשיר גימל תפירוס. If you have a garment that was sewn, but the thread that was used to sew it is still in it, and the 2 parts of it got separated, partially, so that it spread apart, but you could still pull it together by tightening it, this is sewing. To pull it tight, and there's a chiyuv even though he doesn't tie if he did 3 stitches. Here's another chiddush which we didn't say yet. If a person does 3 stitches, he's chayiv even without tying, because the 3rd stitch holds the other 2 in place. Exactly.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
The pajama with the rope is going inside. You allowed to?
Yeah.
Because it's there all the time.
It's there all the time, and there anyway. There's only 1 hole in and out. Those that actually tighten the garments around their arms through such a thread is not allowed. Now he's going to say in a minute it is allowed if you have the round squares circles where it goes through all the time. But if you don't have that, the loops exactly. If you don't have that, it's awesome. Now he explains in parentheses. Even though it's not permanent, you only tighten it when you put it on, and you're planning to loosen it when you take it off, because it's like permanent sewing. Unless these holes are a little bit wide, and they have an edge around them. That's what it means. They have a little edge around them. Like in the talus, yes, exactly, around the tzitzis holes. Then it does not look like tofer because it looks like it's made for that. Now, if you do have such holes, and you leave the thread in, and you leave a needle attached to the thread that you use to pull it closed, you're allowed to even walk outside on Shabbos with the needle hanging from your garment. You're carrying. Since it remains connected to the thread, and the thread remains connected to the garment, and you use it to tighten and loosen the garment, it becomes part of the garment. It's like a button. The button is what you use to hold the garment together. That's part of the garment. ואם אין הבגד מאוד כל כך על ידי חוט זה שיהיה צורך לרע פוסק כשפוישתו יהיה לפעמים נמלך מניח כך לעולם. If it's not very tight and therefore after you tighten it, it's still going to be loose enough for you to take it on and off without loosening it. You're able to take it off even when it's pulled tight. You cannot tighten it. Maybe you'll decide to leave it that way forever. And then you made a permanent sewing. If you're going to tighten it permanently, then it's usher even if it has those round loops that are there. The whole point of the loops is to show that it's not permanent, that this is made for opening and closing all the time. But if it so happens that you're planning to close it and not open it again, because you don't need it to be open, because it's loose anyway, even when it's tight, then you're not allowed to do it. Because the whole purpose of having those loops is that it's not permanent. If it is permanent, it's not allowed. Okay, back to the Mechaber. Ches. Moichin shenaf lemana keses mudalach zim aval also litnam betchila bekeses. Basically, the stuffing of a pillow that fell out, you're allowed to put it back in, but you can't put it in Shabbos in the first place, in the pillow on Shabbos in the first place. As the Alter explains, Yudalid, mutter moichin shenaf lemana keses mudalach zim. You're allowed to put back the stuffing into a pillow. I will also litnam betchila bekeses. Not put it in the first time. When you put that feather into the pillow for the first time, you are transforming the feather into a pillow. It used to be a feather. Now it's part of a pillow. Whereas if it was already in it and it came out, you're just putting it back. You're not making something new. That's a lot. Okay.
If it's you just putting that feather, that was not part of the pillow.
If it's not part of the pillow, you can't put it in. Okay, Hama'amer. Let's learn the Alter Rebbe first before we learn the Mechaber for this one. Hama'amer, who may always malachas. One who gathers is one of the avos malachas. Gathering into bundles is one of the avos malachas. They used to gather the spices that they would plant to make the dye. It's only imur if he gathers it in the place that it grows. What should I do? David Leib is on his way for 10 p.m. I feel bad.
I just saw that as well.
Pick up another guy.
Or three. Oh,
He said we have to come.
We need two more.
What's his name? The five. He's coming?
He went to Roma.
Ah.
Joseph didn't respond.
Is Papi not here?
No.
You left? You sorry?
And
Is it still across the street?
Who? You like what?
yeah, he's coming.
I have him coming, but I'm texting him now that it doesn't look like we have a minion. I feel bad if he didn't daven for this reason.
The neighbor, your friends?
He's coming, but he's not going to help.
Where's Walker?
He told me he was moving to Eretz Yisrael for a few months. Ooh, we're full can come at 10 if the Rav needs me.
Oh, okay, so we have Rafael. He's back from Uman?
But we're still missing one. What about Joseph?
Can Rafal bring someone from the center? So we're gonna be good.
Yeah, it's with Joseph.
Yochanan, David is coming, Rafael.
Joseph is up to the Asiri.
Tell him to bring someone from Uman.
And right now we need 4.
No, we only need 2 because we have.
We have 2 on the way.
Three of them what?
David, Raphael, and Rabbi
And Yochanan, and Raphael said he will come.
Raphael brings someone from Uma.
Tell me a split personality in conflict.
Oh, split personality.
Let's say these twins. I'm sure that's been passed in down, right, Rebbe?
What's
Siamese
that?
Twins for a minion?
Well, the Gemara says that there was a pair of Siamese twins that came to Rebbe and asked for a double, a pair of twins that had two heads, one body and two heads. They came to Rebbe to ask for a double inheritance. And I don't remember who it was, one of Rebbe's Talmidim, I don't remember who it was, poured hot water on the head of one of them, and the other one cried out in pain. So he said, "Oh, you see, they really won." But they had it in those days too. Okay, we continue and we say, Ma'amer is only to gather it in the place that it grew. For example, when you cut standing grain and then you gather the kernels. Same thing if you gather the fruit that fell off a tree. That's mamash and isur da'iraisa, my friends. You're eating in your garden, your backyard, Shabbos afternoon, mamash machaya, and you notice on the ground there's some mangoes. Mango season. You remember, I'm not allowed to take it off if it fell off the tree on Shabbos because it's muktzah. But then you remember that yesterday you noticed mamish. You noticed those mangoes on the floor, exactly those same mangoes on the floor before Shabbos.
How many would consider pick up mango?
I think even two.
Really?
If you pick them up, you put them in a basket. Ma'amer chayev mid'oraisa. One and one in your hand is fine, or one in a basket is fine. And each basket separately, but if you put it together, it's ma'amer. Exactly.
We have to bring 2 separate bags.
Exactly.
So what about you just mentioned if it's you saw it before Shabbat on the ground, and in Shabbat you saw exactly you just start.
If you didn't gather it before Shabbos, it's a problem.
Okay. But you're allowed to go take one
And eat it, yes. You could take one at a time and eat it, no problem. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
If it fell on Shabbos, it's muktzah.
אם אתה לא יודע,
אתה לא יודע אם זה מתי יפה עכשיו או בשבת.
אז זה מוקצה. ואם זה חיסרון כיס, you allowed to move it a little bit? No? אני חושב, לא יודע.
שלח אותך לאומה. Anybody else will do that? No.
Rafal says he's going to bring one.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
She is Jewish. Yeah.
Or Siamese twins.
Okay, my friends.
Let's finish this one.
Let's go for it. If they fall somewhere else, not in the place that they grew, they fell in your kitchen. Lakasha, you can gather them. Like is explained.
If the trees come to the kitchen,
Not the tree. If the oranges fell in your kitchen from your bag that you got from Publix, you can gather them. Zelo makom gidulan. Then if you have an orange tree in your kitchen, then you can't gather it. Vein imur ela begedule karka. Imur only applies to things that grow from the ground. Now listen to this. Midrabanan, something that grows, even though it doesn't grow from the ground, you're not allowed to gather it. They have places where the water evaporates and you get salt. The seawater evaporates and you get sea salt. And it grows in quotation marks. It's not really growing because it's not alive, but it gets bigger and bigger. The salt deposits. You can't gather it because it's similar to something that grows from the ground. Because it gets bigger and bigger. And putting it together into one place is ma'amar. Some say if you crush fruits and make them one, it's chayev for ma'amar even if they're not in the place they grew. For example, if you took figs and you pressed them into a cake, they used to make like a string. They used to put dried figs through a string and make like a necklace. It looked like of dried figs. They still do. I haven't seen it in years, but yeah.
But they make a package where they can press it.
Exactly. So that, according to this opinion, is a tool of ma'amar and chayiv. So we have to be strict like their opinion.
A syrup of figs.
Oh, what is it called?
I think a syrup of figs.
Syrup?
I think so.
That's interesting. Okay, there's a lot of words in the English language that I still have to learn. For example, if you read my email from last week, anybody? Oh, that's part of this course, by the way. You have to read my email. No, I'm just kidding.
That's as far as I'm talking.
Last week I wrote about the raven, and I mentioned about the. One second. I did a recording too, but I mentioned that ravens, according to Chazal, are cruel animals, and in the English language, there are names for different groups of animals. Like there's a herd, and there's this, and there's that. A name for a group of ravens is called an unkindness. That's the name of a group of ravens.
I heard it's called a murder.
A murder, even worse.
No, that's a murder of crows.
Crows and ravens are the same.
Murder of crows.
No, it's an unkindness of ravens. It's a murder of crows.
Okay, there you have it.
It's very specific.
Okay.
And most of these actually were found in a book in the 15th century. So there are. My kids and I were reading all of these about a month ago. It's in the back of the dictionary. It goes through all the different mass nouns, and there was a note at the back of the Oxford Dictionary saying, these are the officially recognized names. Nobody ever knows these things or uses these things. And it's from a fairly obscure book in the 15th century, but it's considered canonical anyway. So
very interesting. Well, they got it right according to the Torah's description of them. I don't know if people like it, maybe.
What would they call a group of vultures?
I don't know. There's a whole list of them.
Let's finish this here before people will come to the meeting.
Yes, indeed. If you mix flaxseed or sesame seeds in water, that is chayiv for lush, because they mix together and they get stuck to each other, because they secrete a certain secretion, you know what I'm saying? And they become like stuck to each other. It's not like other seeds that are just gonna sit there in the water. Here they actually become stuck, and therefore it's going to be chayev as far as lush is concerned. Yud Zayin.
The fruits, if you make like push them together. just the seeds.
If you crush fruits, is there a lisha for crushing fruits?
No.
No. Maybe ma'amar, like you said before, if you press them together. But it doesn't fit the description of lisha.
I was wrong about syrup of figs. That's actually a literal syrup. There's a different word for that, the string.
Avalpi. Avalpi. B'makom shemachshavta shel adam shamu nimtza. That's what it says. Avalpi shechatichas talosh muteres lechatchila. Even though cutting something that is disconnected from the ground is permissible if you're not cutting it in a measured way, like was explained in Shin Yudalin, if by cutting it you're fixing it to use for some kind of usage, you're chayav for tikkun kli if you cut it with a sakin, which is for example, if you cut wood and you make a toothpick, chayav, because you've created a kli. If you do it without a sakin, pater v'lasa, because that's not the usual way. So it's asam rabbanon, but it's not chayav d'oraisa. Lefikach ein shovenes acheres v'en kurnes and yarham v'tram b'tiltel k'den hashtam shem mizatashman shemasakin kli ein simen tavkom ches. This is exactly your question. You asked about cutting sticky tape, scotch tape.
Yes.
Exactly this. You're not allowed to break a cheres or cut a paper. You have a paper, it's too big. You want it to be smaller to use for your teeth, whatever. That is a tikkun kli. That is a tikkun kli. Same thing with tape. You want the tape to be a certain size. That's a tikkun kli.
If I'm not machmir about this, the same size,
What do you mean the same size?
I don't care which piece is that.
No. The exact size could be machatach. Cutting to size is machatach. You don't care about the exact size, but you want it to be cut.
Okay.
Tape that's not cut is a mess. So that's still a tikkun kli. We said this in the past. Alter beholds that you're not chai for kareya unless you are ripping apart things that used to be many things and became one. For example, if you rip a garment that was made of many threads, but a paper that is made of one entity, cutting it is not kareya. It might be machatech, it might be tikkun kli, but it's not kareya. This is what we mentioned in the past. That's why, according to the Alter Rebbe, the reason you're allowed to rip open the leather that's covering a wine barrel, like we said in Shin Yudam, because the leather is one piece. And it's not shaykh to say the Isser Kriya. Rather, it's only chituch. If you cut in a measured way, it's more sham. But if you separate papers that are stuck together, that is a tolda of kareya. If you connect papers or skins with whatever he calls it here, koilin shall say from some kind of material that connects it, that is a tolda of toifer and chayim. So toifer doesn't have to be a garment; it could be different items, papers and so on. You stick them together, that could be chayim. So if you have a book, a sefer, and the papers are stuck together, like sometimes they come from the printing house. Usser, completely usser. That is tikkun kli. You're fixing.
Can you use a sticky note on Shabbos, like to mark?
One second. What's your question, Daniel?
Can you use like one of these sticky notes or like sticky things to mark a page on Shabbos?
That's a good question.
I usually do this. That's why I'm concerned.
I see the Gabbai doing it every week. Where I lean. They take these sticky notes and they attach it to the name card. They have a name card, the Aliyah. And then it says 1836, 72, whatever. They take a little post-it note and they stick it on. They must have got a heter from somebody.
What is the issue?
Well, sticking is like tefirah. It's like tefirah. But it's a temporary sticking.
Yeah, it's not even glue itself. It's not.
I mean, there's some glue there.
There's no permanency.
Okay, but maybe it's who said it's mutter?
What is tefirah? That's gluing?
Tefirah is sewing, but gluing is the tulda of something. That's what we're saying now. So, but it's temporary. But I don't know. We have to look into it. When do we say this? Only if it was done for permanence? Pages of Sfarim that God connected to each other through wax, or when it was being bound, you're allowed to open on Shabbos because it wasn't permanently connected. Was made unintentionally. It's not like sewing. There is no kriya.
So that's kind of like.
One second. Makal patish is when the papers were never disconnected in the first place. Here we're talking about. You get papers sometimes, and they're like connected because the paper itself was never cut. Here we're talking about they got stuck. There was a piece of wax or something that got stuck.
What about if the papers were stuck originally?
No, that's makal patish to disconnect it. No, here's talking about if it got stuck because that's not an intentional stuck. So therefore it's not. Exactly, it's not like toifer because it wasn't
So you're
intentional.
allowed to do with the food? If you stuck with the food?
Then you're allowed to, yes.
So it's like these benchers that get stuck together, because they got something that's spilled on.
Exactly.
So it's okay to pull the pages apart as long as you don't.
Exactly. You just can't do it in a way that erases letters. And now we have Yud Ches, which is missing online for some reason. If a needle got crooked even a little bit, you're not allowed to straighten it out because that would be tikkun keli. All right, Hadron Allah Siman Shin Mem, because we kind of skimmed the surface, and next time we'll have to get back into it. That's the plan, Mitzvah Shem, yes.
Yeah.